who controls the information. What we see and hear, how we work, what we think, it's all about the information.
You want a war? You got a war. And there's no looking back. There's no forgetting, and there's no forgiving. I can see it all clearly now. The more we build, the more haters try to tear it down. The more we build. Now you listen to me. All of you. You hoodlums don't own these streets. We got a mark market seas.
How you guys doing? This is Covert Radio. And this is brutally honest, fearlessly unapologetic talk radio. Covert Radio is delivering the highest level of discerning insight into events, people, and the contrived lies of the demented tide. We have a very, very, very important broadcast here. I'm going to actually say right off the bat, we need you to share this. Make sure that my brother from another mother, Lennon Honor, takes a gander at this. And this is going to be unlike anything that I've seen. I have not seen anybody put this together at all. And I'm going to take you through the trajectory of how we've come to this point, and lay down the foundation of why I genuinely believe that Dr. Umar Johnson has purposefully imploded Fdmg by design, by his own hand, all in an effort to cause plausible deniability. And then he's going to flee to Ghana, and he's going to start over in the elite wealth class. And everything I just said, I'm going to show you the proof of that. It's an opinion, but I'm going to lay the foundation down. First of all, as well, smoosh that like button right there. You can even pause the video. Stick your finger there. Yeah, give her a little smoosh. Hashtag smoosh cartel. Hashtag smoosh gang. Go ahead and smoosh that like button. Share this video. It's so important you like it. Leave a comment. I read every single comment, and we're gonna go through this. Now, I have to say this too. We've had some weird power issues, a lot of storms and everything, and I don't believe my interrupter has been able to successfully manage the power spikes. So I hear a little weird hum and buzz. I hope it's not too bad. I can tell my mic is a little low. It's jumping around a little bit. So, but we're going to get through this. We got a lot to get to. I made a decision. The people that normally and recently have listened to Covert Radio, specifically dealing with Owen Benjamin, I told you guys that there's a bigger video, a longer video coming out that's comparing. It's just the unbelievable similarity between Owen Benjamin and Umar Johnson. That's not this video. Because the more I thought about it, I was like, well, do even a lot of you guys know who Umar Johnson is? So I'm going to start here. I'm not going to make this long. I do have a lot of information to get to, but this is not going to be a Lenin-esque statistic type, a video. At least not regarding Umar's personal life, his just horrific way he treats women. All of this has been exposed. We're going to go over a little bit of that too, but more so, this is information that I don't think is widely talked about. I haven't seen it, at least. So we'll start off with this. Dr. Umar Rashad bin Abdullah Afantunde Johnson. I didn't make that up. I did not make that up. That's what he goes by. At any moment, he can be Dr. Umar Afantunde Johnson, and he's even added more these bizarre, I don't know if they're Hamid or if they're Egyptian or Arabic, Muslim. I don't know what they are, but it's just now he's going by Dr. Umar Rashad bin Abdullah Afantunde Johnson. Or he's just simply known as Jermaine Shoemaker. Okay, Jay Shoemaker. Okay, that's his name, Jermaine Shoemaker. I have covered him a few times on Covert Radio over the years. I'll show you guys this here just so you know. I'm not sure if this video is live on my channel because I'm moving all of my content to Patreon. Well, not all of it, most of it. What I'm doing is I'm going to leave the last, say, month or six. I don't know. We'll figure it out. I'm going to do this by the end of probably this month. Everything's going over to Patreon. AI is a beast. I've been looking a lot into it, and I've realized that my 7 years now, almost 10 years of work could be easily sourced by AI. And I'm not going to allow that. I'm just not. So first, it's going to Patreon. That link is in the description if you want to support this type of media. I am not monetized, which hopefully that's going to change soon too. And then I'm also going to add the 27, or no, I'm sorry, what was it? Was it 27? Yeah, I think it was 27. Yeah, 27 videos out of the 380 some videos I have published over the years. 27 of them never saw the light of day. They were immediately censored and banned by YouTube. I've been shadow banned for years. And, so all that's going on to Patreon as well. And then once it's there, I'm going to utilize a lot of shorts. I'm going to break those videos down into shorts, bring them back to YouTube. And then from then on out, my long play videos and broadcast and live shows are going to be here on YouTube. So, but this video here, I did, let me see here. This was 5 years ago. I don't know if you guys can see that there. Let me take a look. I don't know if you can see that. 5 years ago, this was published on June the 3rd of 2020. And it's titled, Who Trained Umar Johnson? Paid to stop progress. Paid to spread militant hate. Paid to separate. That was the title of this video. And I said, hey, Umar, it's time we meet. And it's part two because, or the second one, because I actually covered him about a year prior to this. So there's that video. And then I did another expose on Umar Johnson. Let's see when this was. Let's see. 2 years ago. This was January the 29th of 2023. This was part one of a 4-part series. If this is live, I'll link it in the description. I'm not sure if this is going to Patreon or not. I have to check. But I covered the Tyree Nichols being beat to death by 5 black Memphis police. And this was such a comprehensive investigation into their hit squad and, what they call, they delivered street justice to prove a point. They used them as an example of why you don't run from them. And the title of this video is No Riots? This is why. BLM fake rage, communist-funded racism, and hypocrite race baiters are exposed. Again, this was an extensive documentary or investigation, 4 parts, and it featured Tariq Nasheed, and there's Umar Johnson right there, of which I didn't see any heavy coverage of what happened. Now, if these were a Rodney King situation, forget about it. You know what I mean? They're going full tilt, but obviously when it's 5 black cops beating a black man to death, nothing, crickets, you know what I mean? So they're just fake. I mean, and again, this isn't about them, or it isn't about Tariq so much. I may mention him in this for a minute or two, but they're pretty much the same vein. So, I have covered him in the past, but here's what happened. I realized, and especially dealing with Tommy Sotomayor, I realized, covering Tariq Nasheed and Umar Johnson, but especially Umar, they will always use someone like me as fuel. And they'll always use a white broadcaster, content creator as fuel to show their target audience, hey, look, a white man, see, this is white supremacy. This is why you need to support me. They're coming after me. So, it's not only that. I mean, but when I see people like Lennon Honor, which again, I can't shout out that guy enough. Shout out to Lennon Honor. I'll link his channel in the description, which how I've covered Owen, Benjamin, and how I've covered Tommy Sotomayor. Lennon has covered Umar, and he has done just an extremely thorough investigation of Dr. Umar Johnson. Also people like Monty Woodgrain, and shout out to Monty. I spoke with him about a week or so now. I'll link his channel in the description too, which the truth is Monty Woodgrain was literally the first one that I know of to call out Umar Johnson many years ago. I mean, Monty even went up to the Delaware Bando, school buildings in Wilmington, Delaware, and he was doing live coverage. He was going around the buildings. he called this from day one. And, when people like them are handling business, you know what I mean? I can move on. Because I know they're doing a great job. I know they're being thorough, and they're calling it as I see it. So, I mean, no problem there. But again, also, too, it would be detrimental because they would definitely use my content for fuel for them and fundraising and all that. But because, no matter how hard-hitting Covert Radio is or can be, it'll always be used against me to benefit people like Tariq and Umar. And it really is simply because I'm white. You know what I mean? Or as Umar said to a little girl who was going to 3rd grade, I'm a Caucasian devil. And I specifically remember, I don't know what year this was from, but I specifically remember this is what originally piqued my interest in Umar Johnson, who was was a school psychologist. At one point, I believe in a public school, but again, you can go to Lennon and see if he has information on that. But this was a long time ago. I'm going to play this clip for you here. I don't have the video. But this is Umar Johnson talking to a little girl who was going to 3rd grade.
I'm making a video, princess. What's your name?
Jasmine.
Jasmine, what grade you going to, Jasmine? Third grade, how you doing in school last year? You did awesome, good. I want you to get all A's and B's, okay? Always be excellent. Don't be average. We have too many average Africans. I'm Dr. Umar Johnson. I'm a school psychologist. I work in the schools. I'm also... Good. All A's and B's. You know what A stand for? African. You know what B stand for? Black. We don't get C's. That stands for Caucasian. And D stand for devils. All A's and B's, no C's and D's. All A's and B's, no C's and D's. You feel me? That's how we rolling. Stop laughing, Jennifer. Y'all see Jennifer laughing? Jennifer went with me to Egypt and Ethiopia 2 summers.
Yeah. All A's and B's, no C's and D's, because C's are Caucasian and D are devils, right? Not devil, so he's directly saying Caucasian devils. We don't get C's or D's because that represents Caucasian devils. So this is a school psychologist, okay? But again, I told you guys who are my core listeners recently that I'm going to be launching a video about the unbelievable similarities between Umar and Owen Benjamin. Just unbelievable. You wait till you see that video. But as an overview of that video is going to be really exploring what I believe I should say, or the purposefully propped up agents or, COINTELPRO or, whatever you want to call them. They're purposefully propped up by the controllers in order to maintain racism, separation, confusion, mistrust, it's gaslighting, while at the whole time indiscriminately emptying anybody's pocket who will give them 5 minutes. They keep the pockets busy, okay? In these two completely, literally black and white, polar opposite subculture puppet shows, okay? Because by and large, the people who would watch Umar Johnson or the Tariq Nasheeds of the world will never, ever watch the, Owen Benjamins of the world, and vice versa. But I do believe they work for the same controllers, so that people become disenfranchised. They literally become poorer. They're not empowered. And what that does is that just eats people's time, their attention, and creates them to be unattentive to real issues, to real people, real growth. And, just for a comparison right now, so you kind of know where I'm going with that is, part of that video, Umar Johnson has been supported by Premier Networks. Premier Networks is a subsidiary of iHeartMedia. Okay. And iHeartMedia, they syndicate more than 100 or so, radio programs, and they have about 8,200 radio affiliations. But the staggering part of that is their numbers report they reach 250 million listeners a month. Directly support Umar Johnson multiple times a year through Charlemagne the God and the Breakfast Club and all that, okay? So that's one. Whereas, compare that to Owen Benjamin, he has been supported by Free Speech Systems, LLC, which is primarily controlled by Alex Jones. It's allegedly a subsidiary of Time Warner, because there's a video out there from years ago where an employee of Alex Jones was pulled over by the police, and they were asking him to identify himself and everything. He was going through his wallet, and he said, "You see this?" And it was it was a Time Warner business card. And he kept saying, "I work for Alex Jones. I work for Alex Jones." And also I did and I'll link this video in the description. I did a monumental breakdown investigation into free speech systems, and I linked them to Israeli intelligence via a company called Stratfor. And they prop up Owen Benjamin constantly. So far as saying, one of the last times Owen Benjamin, which was within a month, a few weeks ago, was on Alex Jones and InfoWars and all that. The title was Top Comedian Owen Benjamin. Top Comedian Owen Benjamin. Top comedian. The guy hasn't worked in a decade. He hasn't even. So, again, that's what that video is. That's not this video here. But I covered in depth. So, the absolute bizarre fact between both of them is they're overtly and unnecessarily racist. They have both solely launched multi-year, public solicited, crowdsourced investment schemes. Both of them. And both of them exceed over $1 million in what they've been able to garner from the public. And I'm going to tell you why I believe this is a psyop, okay? And again, I'm not getting into this in this video. But the reason I genuinely believe this is a psyop is, did you ever think about Umar Johnson never really using places like, GoFundMe or GiveSendGo or, any of these established third-party fundraising conglomerations? Do you ever think about that? Neither has Owen Benjamin. What they do is they insulate themselves from that level of ramification, legal ramification, which is the mistake Tommy Sotomayor made. But send it to my Venmo, send it to my PayPal. Owen has a myriad of ways to pay him cash, including his P.O. box. Send me a piece of silver, guys. Send me some gold, like his exact words. All tax-free. There's no accountability, really. There's no public accounting from neither one of them. That's why I believe it's a psyop, because both of them have done the same thing, essentially. Owen is a multi-state campground, and we all know that Umar Johnson has been, funding a black boys academy called Fdmg, the Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy. He started in 2014. He really started about 10 years ago, and Lennon Honor has calculated about $1.6 million has been raised. You want to hear the insanity that I'm about to say in comparison? Owen Benjamin's property, it's not private, it's under a corporation, is valued at $1.6 million. But guess what? There's no campground. In 2 states, there is still no campground. And he's been fundraising for going on 6 years. Neither of them exists to this day. There's only a skeleton charade money pit. A feel-good emotional targeting of people who are prone to that level of manipulation. Both of them are intelligent. Both of them have education. Both of them use rhetoric. Both of them use fallacy. Do you think that's by accident? But here's the crazy part. Both of them spew racist ideology. That video is next, okay? But first, okay, I feel like I got to peel back the layers of Umar Johnson for the core Covert Radio listeners who have little idea who he is. I'm also going to give you, again, who are Lennon Honor subscribers and Monty Woodgrain subscribers. And others who may have found this video. I'm going to give you something no one that I have seen yet, no one has brought to the table. And again, that's Fdmg, in my opinion, has been purposefully. It's not an accident. The notices weren't forgotten in the mail. His bank accounts weren't frozen. None of that, okay? It's been purposefully destroyed by Umar himself, setting the final death scene, okay? The final death scene. By first staging an alleged vandalism. This was 8 weeks ago. And here's an Instagram post that covered that. 8 weeks ago, vandalism at Dr. Umar Johnson's Fdmg Academy delays the opening. Damages thousands of books and cultural artifacts. Well, geez, that sounds like the Reichstag fire, doesn't it? And when the Reichstag fire happened, that changed the whole power structure of Germany and brought Hitler to power. Self-inflicted wound, right? But it's part of the plan, I believe. It's part of Umar's plan to create plausible deniability so that he can sell off literally into the sunset and join the upper elite wealth class, as far as more than likely winding up with a government position or even a cabinet position. And I'm going to lay the foundation for that too. The Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy, a long-awaited school project spearheaded by Dr. Umar Johnson, has suffered a serious setback following a reported act of vandalism that damaged key educational resources and cultural items. The incident, which came to light on June the 14th, 2025, targeted the interior of the building, resulting in the destruction of 5,000 library books, various cultural artifacts, and educational supplies. Fortunately, the physical structure of the school itself remains intact. Although the full scope of the damage has not been officially confirmed, early reports suggest the loss of the materials was significant enough to delay the school's planned opening. Originally expected to welcome students earlier, the Fdmg Academy is now projected to open in September 2026. He has been doing this for over 10 years. We're opening up, delay. We're opening up, delay. Up, we're opening up. Somebody, whatever. Like, it's just, but over and over again. But this time, I truly, genuinely believe that this was part of his plan to cut and run. This is part of the final death scene, okay? Then after this, after the whole vandalism, I believe he purposefully, again, and by all accounts, he's lying through his teeth, unless there is some sort of a IRS investigation or federal investigation at this point. Listen up, Owen. He staged an alleged freeze, or a seizure of all his bank accounts just about 3 weeks ago. And now the final death blow. We're going to play this here. This is Umar here. Let's give a listen.
A refund. We still haven't got our refund. Not only are the accounts frozen, make sure y'all hit my Venmo and my PayPal. Text me for the links to donate to Fdmg. Text me for the links to support Dr. Umar. On August the 5th, the city of Wilmington, Delaware, took out a notice to auction off the Frederick Douglass and Marcus Garvey Academy campus for unpaid vacant property registration fees. I repeat, on August the 5th, the city of Wilmington, Delaware, took out a lien to auction off the campus we bought, the campus we've been working on for 6.5 years. We still haven't got our refund.
So there he is, putting, his two last travesties right in order there. And this was The Source. They covered this. Let's see if you guys can see that. Yeah. Let's see here. Dr. Umar Johnson, facing the loss of school campus, calls on supporters for help. This was August the 13th. About 5 days ago? Community activist Dr. Umar Johnson has issued a public plea to save the Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Fdmg Academy in Delaware after revealing the institution is in danger of being sold. The announcement comes just a month after Mr. Johnson stated that both of his personal and the Academy's bank accounts have been frozen or seized. In the video shared online, which has since been deleted, Johnson detailed the precarious situation. He claims the city of Wilmington, Delaware, issued a notice to auction off the Fdmg campus due to 4 years of unpaid vacant property registration fees. According to Johnson, the city failed to notify him about the issue via email, letter, phone call, instead placing a notice on the school's door handle. The notice reportedly stated that if the past due fees and outstanding utilities were not paid by August the 25th, the campus would be sold. Now, here's the bizarre part about this, and this is, and I'm going to address this in a minute. Johnson claims that for 4 months, he had been trying to get the city to apply a nonprofit waiver that would waive the fees, which he says the city has ignored. He also mentioned that the vacant property registration fee is being raised from $5,000 to $12,000 a year this fall. Now, here's the best part. You ready? In response, Dr. Johnson urged his supporters to donate, obviously, to the Fdmg Academy via PayPal or Venmo. Well, let's see here, Umar. How are you going to get the money from PayPal? How are you going to use that? Do you have a PayPal debit card? I know they exist, but do you have one? I mean, you have to have a business account, first of all. But what? They didn't freeze that one, just all the other ones you have. And Venmo. I don't know how Venmo works, but I didn't know they were in the, in the debit card arena. But I guess with online now and the way things are moving, it's cashless anyway. So boop, boop, boop. You can just use it and siphon it offline or pay for things online. So whatever. But he's begging everybody to help pay the fees. Here's the best part. Another best part. He also called for a protest march on Wilmington City Hall to fight against what he calls, here it is, racism and discriminatory treatment. Of course it is. Of course it is. Right? Johnson stated that they plan to... I didn't read all this. Johnson stated that they plan to sue the city for racism and discriminatory treatment, and that no amount of sabotage will stop them from opening the academy. This is called plausible deniability, okay? It's not your fault, Umar, for allegedly squandering $1.6 million. The city of Wilmington is now trying to sabotage you because of racisms, right? Typical. But it's worse than that, isn't it, Umar? Yeah, it's a lot worse than that. This is total manipulation, okay? because as per my investigation, Umar has been given 8 months at the bare minimum, 8 months of warnings. Because Wilmington, Delaware, which is D-O-N, not T-O-N, but Wilmington, Delaware, has a very clear, concise, and very established process that notifies property owners and or bando vacant building owners like Umar. They have a very established process to notify people in this predicament. The first is notice by mail. The city first mails the billing statement to the property owner. Now, here's what's great about this. Umar, in almost every single time he opens his mouth publicly, he gives people his private number. He gives people his address, the Fdmg address, P.O. boxes, all kinds of shit, right? Constantly. Every time he opens his mouth live or, wherever, send money here, send money there, call me here, send me there, email me here. Okay, but you didn't get this starting in November of 2024. Because they haven't received, so that's when it starts, 8 months prior. But this you didn't get. And you got no interaction with them, no mail, no nothing, no calls, no emails, nothing for 8 months. It was lost in the mail. Better still, though, the march on Delaware, right? The march on Wilmington, Delaware. The white establishment is the reason. Sabotage. They never sent me nothing. They don't want our people to be educated. And guess what? That works. For the core of his supporters, that's all it takes. They'll go and sell plasma to line his pockets. Just for all he has to say is racism's white establish and sabotage. That's it. They're spun. Right, Umar? You know that. And it's the same with Owen Benjamin. He has his trigger words for the low IQ people he deals with and lines his pockets on a day-to-day basis. Controlled opposition. PSYOP. Right, Umar? Right, Owen? The second thing they do is an official notice of the violation. It's an official notice of a violation. They issue a formal notice. And most times it's a public record. And it clearly outlines the enforcement actions they will take. The third thing they do is a lien filing, which I believe has happened. Which, is civil action. All of that money, which Lennon Honor has reported it's over $30,000, that unpaid debt is converted into a lien. It's a public instrument, it's all legal. And then the city will use that for civil litigation. Or they'll sell it and recoup their money that way. And past that, they can go for a criminal summons. See, this is why I believe Umar knows he's got to lead the country. And I'm gonna show you how easily it is for him at this point. Besides criminal charges, they could start adding fines on and all kinds of things. The public notice is executed through legal filings. What do you think, Umar? They're going to leave it in the wind? They're going to open theirself out for your 127th threat of a lawsuit? You can't even afford to feed your own mother or yourself by your account. You're begging people for money so you can buy food, right? But you have all this money to sue Lennon Honor, and you're suing this one, and you're suing Lene Stacks, and your kid, your daughter. Yeah, you're suing everybody. Now you're going to go up against a city who has Lawyers on standby. You know what I mean? It's a joke. But see, those are all buzzwords to his core people. They're like, yeah, sue. Okay. He mentioned this, waiver he's trying to do, or I'm trying to, I'm trying to get this waiver. Guess what? See, this is all going to come out. This is all going to come out through a FOIA, which I started on. And whether Lennon does it or I do it or somebody else does it, I'm going to FOIA all of this because I have a gut feeling that we're at the end of the first waiver. Because Fdmg is a 501c3. It is a nonprofit. So, in Wilmington, Delaware, one time, you can do this only one time for a nonprofit, and it will last for 4 years. He may not have done it. I don't know. I mean, obviously, these fees are coming from somewhere. But, there's ways to go about this, too. You have to qualify. You got to go through their law department. They may grant you a one-time waiver. It'll cover up to 4 years on the registration fees. But here's the thing. You have to meet a level of standard and prerequisites. Okay? You can't just because you own a nonprofit or you're in control of it solely for an entire school. Okay, Umar. No board of directors, no nothing, just you. Okay. There's requirements for this, okay? Here's what's never going to happen, and this is probably why he won't qualify unless they do him a favor, because he's threatening, riots, basically, marching and all this shit, right? All the past due fees have to be paid. Everything has to be caught up. And you have to prove that you're rehabilitating the facility. I mean, some paint on a wall and you paint a rock outside and, you don't even cut the grass, nothing. You either have to prove you're rehabilitating it or you're going to demolish it. That's it. And if you can't do that, the sale goes through. And even if you do qualify for that, there's also a year extension on that. But again, everything has to be approved. You have to be up to date. You cannot be past due on any fees owed to that city before you apply. And again, Lennon Honors figured this cost to be estimated over $30,000. That's what he's got to come up with by the 25th or the 24th at midnight, I should say. Let me say this again. Plausible deniability, right? Let it burn, right, Umar? Just let it burn. It's over. It's over. The grift is over. You've been so exposed at this point, there's no broom big enough that can clean up the billions of shards of glass that your entire grift has been shattered into. Hey, Owen Benjamin, does that sound familiar? Does that sound familiar? Here's Umar. Black militants unite and march on the white establishment of Wilmington. They're the reason they caused this to fail. Right, Umar? And here's Owen Benjamin. They sent an NGO hit team after me. There's an NGO hit team. They've been hired to take me down through media and manipulation. Targeted media. They're utilizing weaponized autists in the Gamma Hive. Right, Owen? Yeah. Yeah, I've been hired to take down Owen Benjamin, right? We're going to dive into this. You ready, guys? I hope you're with me. We're going to dive in. I can't say this enough. I'm not going to bore you with minuscule facts and figures and anything like that. This isn't about that. Lennon Honor, really, who my brother from another mother, he's done a superior, unmatched level of research into every detail surrounding Umar Johnson, Fdmg, and many other things that have bubbled over. Okay, they've bubbled over. That's not what this is. This is laying the foundation to support my theory that Umar Johnson, Dr. Umar Johnson, who raised an estimated $1.6 million from the public to build a private school, a private academy. My theory is he has been simultaneously mapping out his departure from the United States of America. You think I'm kidding? Watch this. Umar has an open door into the wealth class. It's called the wealth class in Ghana. And in my opinion, more than likely, Umar Johnson has been offered a position in the Ghanese government. Just, my gut rarely is wrong. You think I'm kidding? Okay, let's take a look. I'm going to start with this right here. And I'm not sure if this has been covered. I've never really seen it, or it may have been brushed over, but this is pivotal. This is critical to understand. January the 8th, 2025. Posted on X by Africa Fact Zone. Okay? American psychologist Dr. Umar Johnson has been granted Ghanaian citizenship. He attended, listen to what I'm saying, okay? He attended the inauguration of Ghana's president, John Mahama, which he was invited to. Umar Johnson was invited to a presidential inauguration on the continent of Africa in the country of Ghana. Do you understand what a big deal that is? Here's what's even crazier. He also met, after the event, after the inauguration, he also met with South Africa's former president, Jacob Zuma. Umar Johnson, in America, apparently can't rub $5 together to put a hot meal on the table for his very sick mother and himself living in squalor. But he goes to Ghana, he's granted citizenship, and he's invited to the most elite events, talking to the highest level of society in the entire country. Oh, it gets better. It gets better, right? The citizenship ceremony was part of the Ghana's Beyond Return initiative. And Umar spoke at the event. He's been to Africa, estimated 20-some times. He's been to Ethiopia, Ghana, this one, that one, South Africa. I mean, he's been all over the continent. He loves Ghana. He's been to Ghana multiple times. He spoke there, and he's also there pumping everybody up with his intention to what? What? Establish a school in Ghana that honors African heritage. Umar Johnson is a celebrity in Ghana. in Philadelphia, he got to watch his back. He can barely walk around. He's despised so much. But I have a question, Umar. I mean, wasn't that what Fdmg was supposed to do for the past 10 years here in America? However, there is still not one sufficient desk for one child. There's 0 board of directors. There's 0 administration. There's 0 proof of any type of itinerary or educational whatever. I found no filings of charter application. Yet you've raised $1.6 million. Oh, I'm sorry. I mean, you're going to do that in Ghana now. Now you're doing it in Ghana. Okay. And just so you guys know, just what a big deal President Zuma is. In 2013, here's him at the White House, I believe, or they're in Ghana or South Africa, one or the other. He's with President Obama. he's with President Obama. And Umar Johnson is holding court with him after he's at the inauguration of the sitting president of Ghana. He talks to ex-President Zuma here. But he can't even get a 10-piece at KFC without begging for money. Here. Let me ask you guys a question, okay? How many times have you met a president of a country? How many times have you met a past president of a country? How many times have you been to a presidential inauguration? Umar Johnson is high level in Ghana. He is literally a celebrity in several African countries. He's been all over the place. But he's especially big time in Ghana, where not only is he celebrity level, okay, but he's on the first name basis with the past president of South Africa, who's also had conferences and, press conferences with Barack Obama. He's on first name basis with the current sitting president of Ghana, giving speeches. I mean, listen, you don't think he's been offered at least or potentially talked about a position in one of the many, many executive branches of the Ghanese government? The government of Ghana has multiple tons of government executive branches and ministries. They're really they're not much different than the United States. Ministry of Energy, Ministry of Finance and Economic Planning, Ministry of the Interior, Ministry of Defense, Ministry of Tourism, Arts and Culture. That sounds about right, Umar? Ministry of Education. Well, there you go, buddy. There you go. He probably already signed the agreement. Do you understand what I'm saying? Fdmg is purposefully being imploded for plausible deniability so he can exit the country on a one-way flight to Ghana to start over. Except this time, he's not living in squalor in some shitty house in Philadelphia. He'll will be living in a palace. There are tons of government agencies. There are tons of ministries in Ghana. And that's at the national level, okay? Don't forget about local government. Maybe he's going to be the mayor somewhere. Maybe a governor somewhere. Listen, I'm telling you, I see this from a 10-mile high elevated view. And it makes perfect sense. Listen, at this point, Umar Johnson would have a hard time getting a job at Walmart. Do you understand that? Umar Johnson, let me say that again, would have a hard time getting a job at Walmart. Let alone ever becoming involved at any level in the United States government at all. But in Ghana, right? Not only that, Umar Johnson has tons and tons and tons of support by the citizens of Ghana, like this here.
Talk about Ghana because that's where I live now. I mean, I moved from the Bronx all the way there, and I wanted to ask you, have you ever just started going around, like even here, because we like to indulge in different cultures, have you started tasting the different types of food? Have you started looking at their cultures and all that stuff?
Actually, I've probably been to Ghana more than any other African country.
Have?
Oh, yes. In fact, the last time I was in Africa prior to Ethiopia and South Africa, it was Ghana for the year of return, 2019. So I've been all over Ghana, going back in November. I love Ghana. I think Ghana is one of...
Let me say this, too. This was November the 13th of 2023, okay? This is before he was granted full citizenship. So let me take that back a few seconds here.
Even here, because we like to indulge in different cultures, have you started tasting the different types of food? Have you started looking at their cultures and all that stuff?
Actually, I've probably been to Ghana more than any other African country.
Have?
Oh, yes. In fact, the last time I was in Africa prior to Ethiopia and South Africa, it was Ghana for the year of return, 2019. So I've been all over Ghana, going back in November. I love Ghana. I think Ghana is one of the African countries that has done the best job of keeping the cultural experience intact and relevant. So when people visit, they can touch that traditional culture. A lot of African countries, you can't touch it when you get there. Ghana, you can touch it. And I think that's why Ghana is so popular amongst African people in the diaspora. Thank you, Baba.
All right, so for those people that have not moved to Ghana, haven't really experienced Ghana, because a lot of my base are from the U.S., can you explain more about the culture and things like that?
Well, here's the thing. When people in America or the diaspora ask me where should they visit in Africa, I say anywhere. Ghana would be a recommendation. Kemet, obviously, because of the traditional culture there. South Africa because of the political resistance. Nigeria because of all of the dynamics involved. But really, they just have to come to Africa. Don't matter where you set your feet at. Home is home. And so for me, I just like people to go wherever they can go. So I've been to Liberia, Nigeria, Gambia, Togo, Benin, Ghana, Lesotho, South Africa, Malawi, Kenya, Morocco, Egypt, Ethiopia. I've probably been to about 17 countries by now, but I want to go to all of them before it's my time to join the ancestors, but I just think people really need to study the unique contribution they want to make to African society, so they choose the country that is most in line with what they want to do. So if you want to be a farmer, there's some countries that really need that. If you want to open some schools, there's some countries that really need that. If you want to be a logistics person, there's some countries that really need that. If you want to be IT, there's some countries that can really need that. Now, all the countries can use it, but there's some who need it more than others. So I always recommend that people do a little bit more research before they decide where they want to repatriate.
All right, so you mentioned about the schools. I want to know two questions. One for your Frederick Douglass and Marcus Garvey School. Why did you choose those two activists out of all the black activists?
Just pay attention. We got about another minute here.
In history.
In my opinion, Frederick Douglass was the greatest black leader of the 19th century in the Western Hemisphere. And the Honorable Marcus Garvey was the greatest black leader of the 20th century in the Western Hemisphere. Still further, I'm a blood relative to Frederick Douglass. He's a 4 times great-grand cousin of mine, and I'm former Minister of Education for Marcus Garvey, UNIA. And I think between Garvey and Douglass, you can get the full dichotomy of what black leadership.
So the whole thing about being a relative, descendant of, it's all a lie. This has been disproven multiple times, including Umar Johnson's own father. His own dad said he's crazy. But when you're in another country, in another continent, tens of thousands of miles away, you can say whatever you want, but he says the same shit in America. So, and it doesn't matter. It's like, I'm the most requested scholar, black African scholar, whatever. Says who, Umar? Says who? You, obviously, but compared to what? Compared to who? Umar Johnson is a master manipulator. And so is Owen Benjamin. But Umar is a master manipulator. So here we go about schools. Now, what's that, Umar?
Education for Marcus Garvey's UNIA. And I think between Garvey and Douglass, you can get the full dichotomy of what black leadership is, all the diversity that exists within black leadership. Frederick Douglass being an integrationist, Marcus Garvey being a Pan-Africanist. There's so much to learn because between Douglass and Garvey falls every other leader that we've ever had. So I think that those two metaphorically, symbolically, and literally represent a very good place and foundation upon which we can teach our children what black leadership is all about.
Right, and because of that, I also want to know another thing. Do you decide to open up different schools in Africa? Because people in Africa also need to know this. So do you see yourself opening up that stuff in a few years' time or in 50 years?
Ultimately, I want to open up a Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy in every city, every state, every continent, every country, every town, every region, every neighborhood. My contribution to the Pan-African struggle is building for the first time a truly global Pan-Africanist school system globally. So you're in Ghana. Okay, if there's a child there who needs school and they move to New York, well, guess what? There's a FDMG New York. They move to Jamaica, there's a FDMG Jamaica. You move to Australia, there's a FDMG Australia. So my vision, my work, my task, my duty is to build this global Pan-African school system. We've never had that. We've never had that before, and that's what I want to do.
And why do you feel like it's so important to build that in every single neighborhood and so on?
Because if you only have one school, you're going to impact those children.
And then I only get the money from people in that area. Then if I move a couple states away, I get the money from them people. Umar, do you know there's 20-some thousand, 15 to 20,000 cities in the entire world? So you're telling this young girl you're gonna open 20,000 FDMG academies, right? Brick and mortar schools. But going on 10 years and heading towards $2 million, you still don't have one. You have nothing. Nothing. You don't even have a plan that's observable. You just have a bunch of rhetoric, lies, fallacy, psychological manipulation. Because if you were serious, you would have done this online. That would have been achievable to some degree, but it was never, ever, ever your intention. Ever, right? Umar Johnson has destroyed his reputation in America. He's destroyed FDMG. His psychology degree is useless at this point. And he was actually in court it's probably been about 5 years ago. He was in court in Pennsylvania because there was somebody contested. There was a lot of issues with something, and he literally was called in front of the court to prove his credentials. But even at that, he's never kept up. There's required learning, required post-education after your degree. You can't just be a psychologist and it's over. You've got to maintain continued education, renewed your life. Nothing. He's done nothing to maintain his psychology degree. It's useless. And he will never, ever work for any school district in the United States, ever. Because the public will never allow it. They're never going to allow that to happen. And they're never going to allow you to just walk away peacefully, Umar, right? And I know you're intelligent. I know you are, sir. I know you are. I know you are. You're very intelligent. And I believe that for self-preservation, you have an exit strategy. Because I also truly believe once a, controlled asset, we'll call him, a controlled asset in this PSYOP, like Umar Johnson, once they've been exposed to this degree, they're done. The controllers, the infrastructure that kept propping him up, they will immediately abandon him. Has he been on the Breakfast Club at all this year? No. We're over halfway through the year. No. They want nothing to do with him. It's over, Umar. You know that. It's been over. You're exposed, and there is no lid big enough. There's no broom big enough to clean up what's happened to you. So let me ask you guys a question. What would you do? What would you do? Given the resources Umar has, given the dual citizenship, he could, and actually, if he would, denounce his American citizenship once he takes his one-way flight to Ghana within the next few months, once he there will be public celebration. It'll be marked as a annual event, the day the great Dr. Umar Johnson publicly denounced America, the beast. Publicly denounced his citizenship. He'll burn in effigy his American passport, his whole passport, whatever. And it'll be celebrated, right? Here's another question, and I'm dead serious about this. How do you know if Umar Johnson doesn't have a family in Ghana waiting for him? How do you know? How do you know? My money is, honest to God, my money is on that he has a wife in Ghana. He probably has children in Ghana waiting for him. How do you know? How do you know he purposefully hasn't been ignoring months and months and months of attempts by Wilmington government, notice after notice after notice, call after call after call, email after email, ignoring it all, while devising his exit strategy, creating all of these, uncontrollable circumstances that aren't his fault, sabotage, vandalism, banking seizures and frozen bank accounts, right? None of it's his fault. Plausible deniability. But guess what? PayPal, Venmo, PayPal, Venmo, PayPal, Venmo, PayPal, Venmo. Umar, in my opinion, has been mounting a stockpile of physical cash. Keep them donations rolling in, family. Or, a bank account. They still got my money. They still got my money. I need your help, family. More cash, more cash, more cash, more cash. Pile it up, pile it up, pile it up, right? Here's an article by The Root. Oh, that headband. Huh? Am I right? Lennon knows. Lennon knows. Dr. Umar pleads for followers to give him cash, but it's not for what you might think. The internet can't stop talking about the Prince of Panhandlingism. I mean, the Prince of Pan-Africanism's latest call for help. It's for himself. This was published July the 28th by Angela Johnson. Okay? No matter how you feel about the words that come out of his mouth, you can't deny that when Dr. Umar Johnson talks, people listen. I agree with that 100%. And it goes on, viral video alleging about the personal bank accounts and this and that and this and the vandalism, on and on. Here we go. Let's see here. He said he discovered the issue with his accounts while responding to a text from a friend asking him for help. Yeah, you help everybody, right, Umar? You don't even help your own mother by eyewitness testimony. You don't even help your mother or your daughters. Okay? You hypocrite clown. Now he's broke. Dr. Umar is asking all of us to contribute to his personal collection plate. Oh, it's a hacking attempt here. Okay. This is the best part, okay? Here, let me highlight this here in case you want to read it for yourself. This is a quote, okay? For my loyal supporters out there, if you can spare a few dollars so I can take care of Queen Mother Afantunde and myself. Queen Mother Afantunde is his mom, okay? Who he's in charge of. Power of attorney, that's all covered by Lennon Honor. Until my bank account is frozen or canceled so I can get my money back and open up a new account, please hit my Apple Pay or hit my PayPal. He's begging people for money to feed him and his mother, Queen Mother Ifantunde. Just unbelievable. Just unbelievable. There's no shame at all at this point for him. There's no shame. He's burning it all to the ground. The pride is gone. The reputation is gone. It's all gone. So now he has to raise as much physical cash as he can to take with him to Ghana to start over. Psychologically, okay, I'm going to break this down for you quickly because I actually have a insane ability to put myself in other people's shoes, and I have God-given discernment. But I want you guys to think about something, okay? If you have spent a decade now, over a decade, asking people for money, and this is anywhere from family, strangers, celebrities, sports athletes, big donors, okay? Big media campaigns, the Breakfast Club, conferences, lectures, country after country, on and on and on and on. If you did that for years and you've tied your entire public identity to an acronym, FDMG, your entire public identity, your persona is all tied to 4 letters. And now it's over. Now it's over. You've been so ultra exposed financially, personally, intimately. I mean, your own family calling you a con man, calling you a liar, your own dad. It's over, Umar. It's over. And at this point, it's unrecoverable. It's unrecoverable. It's unfixable. Think about that. If it was you, what would you do? The money's gone. Apparently, right? But how much is in a bag somewhere? How much is sitting on a prepaid debit card somewhere? I mean, it's been proven over and over, mishandled, misused. And I mean, I believed at one point for somebody like Umar, the shame was unbearable. But I think he's past that. Because now he's literally begging for money to feed himself and his mother. He literally has hit rock bottom. Where do you go from there, Dr. Umar Johnson, psychologist? Where do you go from there, sir? Huh? Where do you go from there, Umar? Where? You're done. You're done. And I'm going to tell you 3 things that I know is happening psychologically. Because, again, I'm attuned to this. That's my forte. I've even identified, created, and named mental disorders. I can tell you something. Umar has had 3 defense mechanisms kick in. Whether it's planned or not. 1 or 2 of them may be, but I know 1 isn't. The first one and most important one is plausible deniability. And that's been covered ad nauseum in this presentation. From sabotage to vandalism to white supremacy to, I mean, just name it, to Lene Stacks, to Lenin Honor, to CCC. Shout out to CCC. You know what? If you're listening, give me a little CCC down there in the chat. Hashtag CCC. Right? I mean, because if all this bureaucracy, banking, frozen, this, the government, okay, oh, it's the economy, it's inflation, whatever. It's all plausible deniability. Anything except to take responsibility, right, Umar? Because you can claim innocence, right? And just fly away one night on a 1 a.m. flight out of Philadelphia. Or JFK. Were you a thief? I mean, that's, yeah. The other thing is, and I genuinely believe this, Fdmg was never, ever intended to actually work. All of it is wrong, first of all. Because there's no map. There's no documentation. There's not even a fucking lesson plan anywhere. It's words, rhetoric, fallacy, psychology, manipulation. So what that has caused I believe once he really started getting money, see, this is what happens. And this is what happened to Owen Benjamin. They become paralyzed by what's called fear of success. I believe when Owen Benjamin started his grift for these campgrounds and accumulated over $1 million, I don't know if he ever in his wildest dreams believed he could accumulate that amount of money. But he did, and he went crazy with it. My opinion. Because there's no campground. They don't exist. There's a couple little sheds on a 10-acre piece of property in Idaho, okay? Fear of success. Because here's the irony of that for, say, Umar Johnson. Building the school could have been worse. Because then there's nowhere to hide. Then he's accountable. Then there's no plausible deniability. He's in charge. The words don't matter. Where's the curriculum? Where's the principal? How come there's only one teacher and she doesn't even have a teaching degree? Fear of success. So he went crazy with the money. Because opening the school for him would have been worse than burning it to the ground, packing up, and taking a one-way flight to Ghana. Because you know what? For Umar, success means audits, continued scrutiny, right? And tons and tons and tons of oversight and responsibility. And if he burns it to the ground, all of that stops, right? It just, all the pressure goes away. The other thing is, the control of his ego. He wants to maintain this alpha male, black, Afantunde, Shaba ranks, bin something, Abladua, whatever. He wants to maintain that ego, King Kong consciousness, right? If it all burns to the ground for outside reasons, it's not him. It wasn't the alpha male. It wasn't King Kong consciousness they're called. But we all know it's you now, Umar. We all know it's you. But what you are in control of, and I will give you this, you chose the timing of the nuke going off. You chose the timing of the nuke going off. Right? You chose the timing. So in a twisted way, you're still in control, buddy, right? Ego still intact. Control still intact. You chose the timing of this. But here's the ground-shattering, brutally honest fact, Umar. Psychology, and this is why I genuinely believe you're going to flee the country within a matter of 3 months. Psychology does not erase law. Because apparently, and by every investigation at this point, there's an estimated $1.6 million in donations that were raised under false pretenses. And clearly, the money has been diverted for personal use. It's called conflation. So guess what? Those are very, very, very serious federal consequences. Hey, Owen, listen up, buddy. Listen up, because this applies to you too, right? Fraudulent solicitation. Every time he's asked for money, it's been with false promises. And a lawyer would have no problem proving fraud. Then, when you're dealing with a government-regulated 501c3, all the tax benefits, all of it, then we're going to go down the road of embezzlement or fund misappropriation. Because I'll tell you something, Umar. I know you know very little about the law, but you like to throw around the threat of lawfare and lawsuits and all this shit. But I'm going to tell you something. Donor money is a trust, okay? Using it for yourself is theft. And it's funny that, you never got mail from Wilmington, Delaware for 8 months, but yet you constantly check that mailbox for checks and money orders and whatever else, right, Owen? Right, Umar? Right, Owen? Right, Umar? Right? That's called wire fraud. That's called mail fraud. And God forbid they cross state lines through email, websites, letters, because you know what? And I guarantee you, I promise you, both of them fall into this category. Crossing state lines, that's federal. And federal prosecutors love wire fraud cases. There's been a breach of fiduciary duty. You were the steward. You've been entrusted with the donations. You were the steward of it. It was your duty. And you owe a duty to use them for their intended purpose. Break that, and you personally are on the hook, legally and civilly, sir. And we're not talking a slap on the wrist or threatening to march on federal courts, right, Umar? We're talking up to 20 years in prison. Each of those carry 5 to 20 years in prison per count of fraud. Massive fines, massive restitution. You'll be permanently banned from ever uttering the words donate again. And that doesn't include civil lawsuits. If people decide to come after you, which I believe is something Owen Benjamin may face eventually. Because all these people are angry, Umar. The facade is cracked. Your character has shattered. They all see you. They see you. And they're mad. And, even if you avoid prison, Umar, whether it's locker, like I said, within 3 months, you take a red eye one way to Ghana with $100,000 on a prepaid account or, card, or you have literal cash around your neck sewn in a bag. I genuinely believe you avoid prison, whether it's, locker, you leave the United States to live out your last days in Ghana as a government employee or you might be the head of some government ministry. More than likely, that's what's on the table for him. But nonetheless, you will be considered an elite wealth citizen in Ghana. Or public figure, I should say, actually. None of that matters here, though, sir, right? Because from here on out, your reputation now and forever will be scorched earth, garbage. Never, ever going to have the capacity to do this again. One and done. And in my opinion, you won't even find a job without constant scrutiny from the public. Videos of you, hey, welcome to Walmart. Umar Johnson is going to be a cashier? Cashier at Walmart? You can work at the dollar store for 26 hours. You see, good for you, Umar, because you know what? You then are going to make the same amount of money from the people you have robbed for over 10 years. You're going to know what it's like. Nobody's ever going to trust you, touch you, nothing. No board, no donor, no school, no nothing. Nothing. So again, I'm going to ask you listeners, what would you do? He'll never survive any type of employment in America, ever. And from the law's perspective, it really does look like fraud, fund misappropriation, and I mean, everything I mentioned. But guess what, Umar? This purposeful Fdmg implosion, this collapse that you've orchestrated, it does not protect you, sir. All you're doing is sealing the evidence inside of a multi-building bando crime scene. That's all you're doing. Because A, the court of public opinion has found Umar Johnson guilty. And then the court of law, guess what, Umar? They're going to provide the final verdict. So I ask you again, what would you do, right? And when is the next one-way ticket to Ghana? Because this is what's going to happen. After Umar shoves Queen Mother Ifantunde in some third-rate state-funded personal care home, that's it. That's all he has to do. And he's out. Or he's going to, sign off and give up his, his responsibilities for her legally. Power of attorney. Sign it over to one of his brothers or whatever. They'll control her meager little money that's coming in. And they can handle her. But I really believe he's just going to shove Queen Mother Ifantunde in some piece of shit third-rate state-funded hospital or personal care home to live out her final days. Within 5 hours of that, Umar is going to board a plane with his middle fingers up like he's been doing a lot recently, smiling ear to ear with a bag full of cash. Mark my words. I'm going to say this last thing. I did the math, okay? Hypothetically, if Umar flies to Ghana, now these last events over the last, say, several months, the seizure of accounts, the vandalism, now this with the Wilmington government, okay? Nobody knows the amount of money he's raised. Nobody knows how much money he has in a shoebox somewhere, okay? But let's just say out of the $1.6 million and the recent panic fundraising, let's just say Umar was able to stash around $100,000, which is really, what, 1% or 10%? I mean, listen, I did the math. Do you know how long $100,000 will last in Ghana? Do you have any clue? Which, again, is a developed country, by the way. If he wanted to, hypothetically, say he doesn't have a government job, okay, which I highly doubt. It's probably waiting for him with his wife and his kids that are already there. He may have bought a house there already. Who knows? Nobody knows. But let's just say he wants to go live in what's considered the core middle class in Ghana, which is 15 miles above where him and his mother live right now. $100,000 will last over 20 years in Ghana. And that's all based on the estimated cost of living and, everything, the lifestyle standards there. There's several things to consider. He could live in the upper middle class, which would be around $800, a whopping $800 a month, okay? USD. To live upper middle class, he only needs $800 a month. He's going to live 10 to 15 years just on that, just on the money he's taking with him. And if he wants to live in total luxury there, which I believe is his plan, especially, supplementing any cash he takes with his high-paying government job, he could live an untold amount of time. But just off the money he's taken with him, he could get 8 to 10 years off of that. Ghana's developed. They're doing a lot with the infrastructure. But guess what? Their inflation has been going down, not up. Utilities, garbage, water, all of it, about $40 a month. Internet, $40 a month, okay? And again, that's if he goes middle to upper middle class, And I mean, the wealthy there, the wealthy, we're talking about $3,000 a month. You need, defining wealth, living a wealthy, lifestyle in Ghana is around $3,000 a month. There are people listening to me that pay that either in a mortgage or in rent. Between their car payment and rent and utilities, that's what they're paying a month. Okay? And they're barely scraping it in probably subsidized housing or with other help. SNAP and benefit, okay, all that. You can live in a place like Beverly Hills in Ghana for that same amount of money. You starting to see what I'm saying? So I'm going to tell you something. The psychology of somebody as intelligent, as articulate, and soulless as Umar Johnson is, the psychology of somebody like that, not to mention what a calculated, narcissistic manipulator he is, for somebody like Covert Radio and what I do, everything is on the table. It's told me everything we need to know about why Umar Johnson would choose controlled implosion and then cut and run. Umar, with his psychology education, it's just, he's very intelligent. He's had a lot of help with huge media outlets. He knew how to build a brand of trust. He knew how to present himself. He's done it for decades. He knows how to win an audience. He knows the trigger words, the trigger words, the trigger words. He knows Pavlovian tricks. He knows rhetorical tricks. He knows psychological tricks. I've pointed it out every time I've talked about Umar Johnson. That's why the video I did 5 years ago says, who trained Umar Johnson? Because I detected it then. I was warning people. For years, all he needed was this charismatic alpha male. That's all the currency he needed to win people over. But guess what, Umar? And you should know this. The charisma don't mean shit without integrity. Because it always comes with an expiration date. And you, sir, are expired. Just like the milk in your refrigerator is expired 8 days ago. The school project was never about education. It was never about educating young black boys. Never. Because his entire identity, the grift, the income, and even his personal relationships, it was tied to his image. Like I said, four letters have tied Umar Johnson into eternity. It's his image, the character. Because by all accounts, personally, by testimony and eyewitness, Umar Johnson is a hypocrite. He's horrendous privately. And that even is bleeding out into the public. But forever, he's been able to maintain control, his presence. You know, he's had inside psychological knowledge, Tavistock level, on how to sustain this invented version, this character of himself that the world would believe in. Because I'm going to promise you something, Umar, and everybody listening. Now, after everything that has come out about you personally, including fingers in dark places, you know what I mean? Sound familiar, Owen? Excuse me, sound familiar? Isn't that remarkable, everyone? Owen Benjamin also likes him some fingers in dark places. Publicly, they expose themselves, right? There's reasons for this. There's reasons for this. We're talking Tavistock level. Everything. People like Lene Stacks has unveiled about, just horrific reality of Umar, his living conditions, his mother, and his obscene proclivities, right? Listen, I promise you something, Umar. The reality of the women wanting to be your third wife, 10th wife, whatever, fawning over the strong, intelligent, capable, black alpha male leader who's going to educate our boys, get them off the medication. Trigger word. The Prince of Panhandlingism. The Prince of Pan-Africanism. It's all been shattered into a billion pieces. Women, who I promise you this as well, women are his primary supporters. They are the single mothers at home with these out-of-control boys. But Umar's the father. He's the savior, right? Women were his primary supporters. That is done. It's over. They will never, ever, ever look at you the same. They're disgusted even looking at you. And what's worse is now looking back at the media is going to turn their stomach when you're all dressed in white in the middle of the street, doing your mocked up dance and you're, mouthing at your wedding, this mock wedding. Umar Johnson made a wedding about himself, not the bride. She snuck out from behind the stage. He's in the middle of the street dancing. People are taking pictures and video of him. At one point, Umar, even just 6 months ago, there's a lot of them be like, oh, I wish that was my man's. Now they're disgusted. They can't even look at you. Right? Because you've been exposed. And Lene Stacks. And not only her, there's other women. But then it's your response to that level of exposure. It's over, sir. It's over. They will never look at you the same, ever. In the future or now or in the past. Listen, like I said, on January 6th, 2025, Umar Johnson was granted full citizenship in the African nation of Ghana. He's been part of the African diaspora for many, many, many years. And by everything I've covered here, I truly believe he's been vigorously and meticulously planning his exit. His citizenship isn't just a new passport, right? It's an escape hatch. It's an escape hatch. It's his way out of the United States. And I'm telling you, you better hope and pray to whatever entities you've conjured in your altar of dead sacrifices to the elders in some random shitty bedroom in your mom's house. Again, firsthand eyewitness testimony. You better hope and pray, Umar, that flight leaves before the consequences of your manipulation catch up to you legally, which is, it's in the mail, right? It's already on the way. And it's not just that. This is what's even darker about this entity. And again, this is all bubbled over. It's his treatment of the people closest to him. His own daughters, his own family, and especially women. Vulgar, disparaging, just nasty. His private hypocrisy is what's been exposed. And it is complete opposite of his public persona, his public speeches about community, hope, values. Everybody that's put money in Umar Johnson's pockets has lost their money. It's gone. It's probably never coming back. But you want to hear the crazy part, and whether you know this or not, his own children never even had a father because they've lost something far greater. He wants to manipulate people that he's going to be the father of strangers' children, and he never fathered his own children. He chose abandonment over accountability. Plausible deniability is the last refuge. It's the last refuge. Because by collapsing the project, he created a smokescreen, right? The money's gone. The obstacle's too great. It was sabotage. It was everything but him. I tried my best. But the entire time, I'm telling you, he's been actively mapping out his exit, mapping out his cut and run, his red-eye flight to Ghana in the middle of the night, to leave America for good, to reinvent himself overseas and escape this destroyed reputation that at one point in time was highly respected. And it's never, ever, ever coming back. It's never coming back, Umar. It's over. And you, sir, are done. On Covert Radio, please like and share this video. Hashtag Smoosh Cartel, hashtag Smoosh Gang. Smoosh Gang, please hit that like button. Share this video. Please see if you can get this to Len in honor too. He may want to, take a few things out of it. I mean, if you would like to support this type of media, I am not monetized. I do have a Patreon. If you want to hold people like Umar Johnson accountable, if you want to hold people like Owen Benjamin accountable, in the court of public opinion, join the Covert Radio Patreon, the Covert Radio Tribunal, which gives you access to the private Covert Radio Discord. I'm there all the time. And like I said, most of my content is on its way over there. I can't risk people who've never even spoken into a mic having AI cherry pick all of my content through transcripts, rephrasing it on monetized channels that I will never find. Okay? All the links are in the description. This is brutally honest, fearlessly unapologetic talk radio. You guys take care. Have a good day.
There's a war out there, old friend. a world war. And it's not about who's got the most bullets. It's about who controls the information. What we see and hear, how we work, what we think. It's all about the information.
You want a war? You got a war. And there's no looking back. There's no forgetting. And there's no forgiving. I can see it all clearly now. The more we build, the more haters try to tear it down. The more we build. Now you listen to me. All of you. You hoodlums don't own these streets. We got a army that can seize these. Seize